My name is Corporal Shannon Loudon. I'm with the West Virginia State Police. I've been an investigator with the Crimes Against Children Unit for about 6 years. I've been a trooper a total of 11 years now. On May 3rd of 2012, we started an investigation involving a 12-year-old victim of sexual abuse and child pornography. We had interviewed this victim several times in the past, and she hadn't disclosed much of anything up until this day. She did disclose the abuse that she had been suffering through, which launched a big investigation that day. That day, when I began the interview with her, we don't wear a uniform when we interview victims of these crimes. They've been through enough, especially have to sit in front of a stranger and tell their story. So we try to make them feel as comfortable as we can. So that day I switched over to civilian attire to interview this child. As the day unfolded, to interview the perpetrator and retrieve some evidence from him. During that time, I was shot once in the chest and once in the back.
Corporal Andrew Shannon Loudon has been with the West Virginia State Police for 10 years.
Right now I'm with the Crimes Against Children Unit with the State Police. I handle specialized investigations anywhere from sexual abuse to physical abuse, internet crimes with children, child pornography, and things of that nature I deal with.
On May 3rd of this year, he interviewed a young girl, a victim of abuse, and gathered evidence against a 55-year-old Elkins man.
It was about a 2-hour interrogation with him about the accusations that were made against him. But he did agree to give me some evidence that I'd asked for.
Corporal Loudon said the suspect showed no signs of aggression as they entered the house to get a camera with suspected pornographic evidence.
I saw out of the corner of my eye, he ducked into a bedroom that he was standing beside, and I instantly followed right behind him. He was saying that he was going to get the camera that I wanted. I'm going to get the camera for you. And as I was racing towards him, telling him to leave the camera alone, as I got right up to him, he jumped and spun around. And all I could tell you is I knew I'd been shot.
Shot in the chest, Corporal Loudon pushed away from the suspect, but on his way out the door, he was shot again, this time in the back.
I hit the floor, and still in my mind I knew I just had to get out of that house. And luckily, for some reason that day, I left my car running. And I was glad I did, because my door was unlocked, my car was running, my radio was booted up, and I was able to call for help immediately.
The man followed Corporal Loudon outside, coldly aimed and shot once more. He hit the cruiser, but not Corporal Loudon, then ran away.
Once I got in my cruiser, I instantly started feeling the real shortness of breath, and everything really started. It was like I was looking into the sun. It was so bright, I could hardly keep my eyes open.
Meanwhile, at home in Buchanan with their 3 young daughters, Sabrina Loudon got the call from state police that something terrible had happened.
Really, I didn't know anything at that time except for he was shot in the chest and life flighted to Ruby Memorial. Of course, we were all very emotional. So, my oldest daughter told us to all just kneel down and say a prayer, which we did.
We received a call from Elkins that they were transferring a patient that had sustained a gunshot wound to the chest. For a Priority 1 trauma, that means you have the entire trauma team present, including the most senior operating attending. You have the operating room. They usually send 2 people in case we need to do something in the emergency department. You have the emergency room physicians and nurses. We have someone from the blood bank, someone from lab. You have the people doing the EKG. You have the techs that are there to do the x-rays.
I knew when I got wheeled from the helicopter into the hospital, and I remember raising my head up and seeing just lines of people down the hallway, and they were just waiting to go to work, and you could see it on their face. They were ready to do everything they could do.
I was very concerned with what we saw in the chest x-ray. There were bullets and bullet fragments in the lung, very, very close to the heart, as well as also going through the chest and probably through the liver and was definitely in the abdomen. As a testament to him and his beliefs, he first wanted to stop, and he said, would it be okay if we got the chaplain and we said a little prayer? And I didn't tell him this, but in the back of my mind I thought, yeah, that's a super great idea, because I don't know how this is going to go. So it was good for all of us.
The gunshots caused injuries to his lungs, abdomen, liver, and diaphragm, but not to his heart.
Actually, Dr. Wilson couldn't figure out how it missed my heart.
Parts of the bullet were so close to the main part of the heart and to the main blood vessels of the heart. I was really very, very surprised that he didn't have a heart injury along with a lung injury. It's nothing short of miraculous.
The surgery was a success. Corporal Loudon recovered in the hospital for 5 days, then stayed at home to recuperate for 9 weeks.
I had a lot of people question me, are you going back to work? And, I looked at it like, that guy didn't kill me, and I'm not going to let him beat me in any way. And I felt like if I gave up and didn't go back to work and do what I love to do and fight to get back to where I was at, then I let him beat me. And I wasn't going to wasn't going to let that happen.
So Corporal Loudon is back on the job, protecting our children and celebrating everyday life at home with his family. They're grateful to everyone at the John Michael Moore Trauma Center and WVU Healthcare's Ruby Memorial who helped him when he needed it most.
Every person showed so much compassion that we dealt with, that everyone was wonderful, everyone was great. I wish we could give everybody, a big hug and just say thank you. That day it was my choice not to wear the vest for the interview with the child. But as I was recovering, I discovered that there were over 200,000 police officers working without vests because their departments can't afford it. And that was heartbreaking to realize that I have brothers and sisters in law enforcement that are out working unprotected because of lack of funds. So we're reaching out. We're trying to find people to help us protect our protectors.